Greetings, my friend.
I'm running this show now.
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video I'm talking about a movie that bucks the modern trend of bad storytelling. A movie that pumps fresh blood into a stale genre. A movie that addresses overused themes in a refreshing and intelligent manner. Whoa, who the hell are you? Why, you got a boot to the head? I'm your twin brother.
Now.
Oh snap, there's two of them!
In this video, we're talking about the 2025 drama/action/vampire thriller musical Sinners. Sinners. No, this isn't gonna work. Get out of here. Go on, scoot. You've changed, cuz. Written and directed by Ryan Coogler of Creed and Black Panther fame, and teaming up once again with actor Michael B. Jordan, Sinners is, at its core, a story about family and identity. In addition to Jordan, the film also stars Haley Steinfeld, Wunmi Masaku, is that how you say it? Delroy Lindo, Jack O'Connell, Lee Jun Lee, and relative newcomer Miles Catton? God damn it. I'm gonna have to look this up. Hold on a second. Alright, I think it's Wunmi Masaku and Miles Caton. Did I get that right? Alright. And relative newcomer Miles Caton in a standout performance. After watching Sinners for the first time, I was impressed. Not blown away, but thoroughly entertained. But after watching it for a second and now third time, I have to admit that I downright love this movie. If you're a fan of vampire flicks or films that incorporate musical productions in clever ways, or just a fan of rich, well-constructed stories, I would highly recommend checking this movie out. With that being said, you've been warned. Okay, now before we dive into the recap and review, I want to discuss a screenwriting technique that helped elevate Sinners to near masterpiece territory. It's called the unity of opposites, and it's derived from the philosophical idea that opposites are interconnected, or united, by the way in which they are interdependent. Darkness is defined by light, and light by darkness. Good and evil, rich and poor, and so on. I'm oversimplifying here, but you get the general idea. When it comes to screenwriting, the unity of opposites is used to create compelling conflict. The idea behind it is to create situations where characters with opposing needs or values or goals become inescapably interconnected. It ain't fiction, it's just a natural fact. We come together because opposites attract, and sorry. It can be literal or figurative or metaphorical, or all of the above. But the characters in question find themselves bound to each other, be it situationally or through shared objectives or goals. As we progress through the synopsis, keep the unity of opposites in mind. When we get to the other side, I'll point out some examples of how this technique is used to create tension and conflict, along with a breakdown of some other notable elements that make Sinners a movie worth your time. Word. Stop it. All right. The story of Sinners starts with a prologue, setting up the world our characters inhabit. This is a world where some musicians play music so true that they can conjure spirits from both the past and the future. However, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. While this music can heal their communities, it also has the ability to attract evil. Clarksdale, Mississippi, October 16, 1932. The prologue continues with Sammy Moore, a sharecropper and aspiring musician, returning to his father's church. Disheveled and bloody, Sammy enters the church and embraces his father, Jedediah, a local pastor.
My son has felt the call of sin.
Jedediah believes that his son has embraced sin through blues music, and asks that he let go of the broken guitar he clutches in his right hand.
I want you to promise right now. Drop the guitar, Samuel.
To his father, it's a symbol of evil, but to Sammy, it's a symbol we'll get there. Hold tight. One day earlier, after an early morning of picking cotton, Sammy returns home to his mother and his family. At the same time, Elijah and Elias Moore, better known by their nicknames Smoke and Stack, await the arrival of local Klansman Hogwood.
You boys twins?
Nah, we cousins.
They intend on purchasing a building from Hogwood and turning it into a juke joint for their community.
We'll take it.
Back at Jedediah's church, Sammy finds that his father is using his guitar as bait.
I want you to help me give my sermon tomorrow.
The pastor wants his boy to follow in his footsteps and devote himself to the church.
Where you gotta be that's more important than being in the house of God?
But Sammy has other plans.
Want to be free of all this for a day.
He wants to be free of his work for one night. He wants to play his music for others.
You keep dancing with the devil. One day it's gonna follow you home.
And despite his father's disapproval, he heads out with his cousins, Smoke and Stack, for an evening of freedom. Sammy yearns to leave the plantation and find his true calling, and sees opportunity in his cousin's new business venture. After retrieving a truck full of bootleg alcohol, the twins split up. Smoke heads into town to acquire the services of Bo and Grace Chow, while fending off his stockpile of booze.
I was supposed to be in Chicago working for Capone.
Driving through the countryside, Sammy questions Stack about the death of his father. Stack reveals that his brother killed their father in retaliation for abuse, and Sammy shows his cousin how he's learned to play the blues.
We gonna make some money. We gonna make some money.
They make their way to a train station and recruit Delta Slim, another musician, and perform for the crowd to market the opening of Club Juke. Before long, Stack and Sammy draw the attention of two women. Sammy flirts with Pearline, a woman with a passion for singing.
I'm married, by the way.
Happily.
And Stack fends off an emotional attack from his ex-girlfriend, Mary, who still resents him for abandoning her and her family.
Remember falling asleep with your head on my chest? Leaving in the middle of the night without a word?
After departing the train station, Stack and crew head out to pick up cornbread to act as security for the club's opening night. Meanwhile, Smoke returns home to visit his daughter's grave and reconnect with Annie, his estranged wife. Their relationship deteriorated after the death of their child, and Smoke abandoned her, heading off to fight in the Great War with his brother and subsequently working for the mobs of Chicago. Annie, a spiritual woman who believes in hoodoo practices and mystical remedies, worked her magic to protect Smoke and Stack during the war and during their criminal enterprises.
I work every route my grandmama taught me to keep you and that crazy brother of yours safe.
But Smoke can't bring himself to believe in his wife's magic, as it was unable to save their daughter.
Why those roots ain't work on our baby then?
After convincing her to cook at Club Juke and professing his love for her, Smoke takes Annie to the Bone Zone and all is forgiven. As everyone prepares for the night's festivities, a man named Remick, on the run from Choctaw hunters, injured and desperate for shelter, arrives at a house inhabited by a Klansman and his wife on the outskirts of town. The sun sets as the Choctaw hunters warn the Klansman's wife about Remick.
We're in pursuit of someone very dangerous.
And ride off into the sunset. But their warning comes too late. Remick attacks the couple, revealing himself to be a vampire.
Hey, baby.
Later that night, Club Juke opens its doors and the local black community members make their way inside for a night of entertainment and food and drink. Smoke and Stack argue over finances while Sammy flirts with Pearline. And Mary shows up, upsetting Stack.
What's it gonna take? How much to get you to get the on?
He reveals that the reason he abandoned her was to protect her, knowing that their relationship would jeopardize her safety.
I just want to keep you someplace safe. And I was never gonna be here. And I was never gonna be with me.
Sammy is soon called up to perform by Delta Slim.
Preacher boy, where you at? Come on here, man.
He introduces himself to the crowd and begins to sing the blues, impressing the audience with his gift and piercing the veil between life and death, conjuring spirits from the past and future, and also drawing the attention of Remick and his newly turned thralls. A short while later, as Sammy pleasures Pearline, Smoke and Stack talk numbers and calculate that Club Juke is financially doomed unless they get an influx of cash.
Now that top figure, that's plantation money. That bottom figure, that's real dollars. So what's the projection?
You see, too many of their patrons are using plantation credits instead of actual money, making it impossible for the club to be profitable.
2 months, and we out of fresh cash.
The twins are soon interrupted, called downstairs to deal with Remick and his thralls who, posing as musicians, are requesting entrance to the club to perform. They have money to spend, which Stack sees as a way to bolster the club's revenue. But Smoke, the pragmatic brother, is hesitant. Remick's band is turned away because of the color of their skin.
This because we're... All right.
Because Smoke is concerned about the trouble they could bring down on the club if something were to happen to them.
How'd she get in?
And that is
She here, because she family.
Mary, figuring out that Smoke and Stack left Chicago because they robbed the Irish and Italian mobs, offers to talk with Remick to see how much money they have to spend. She figures the twins are going to need as much money as possible if their former employers were to come knocking.
You're gonna need every dime you can get when they put two and two together.
Mary heads outside and confronts Remick and his band of vampires, who try to hypnotize her with a song and a bit of unwanted therapy. Inside the club, Perline performs as Mary returns, requesting permission from Cornbread to enter.
You gonna let me in?
She then seduces Stack, and the two former lovebirds find a private room to get their freak on. Unfortunately for Stack, Mary didn't make it back to the club unscathed. Bitten by Remick, Mary attacks and kills Stack, and is soon after shot repeatedly by Smoke, to no effect. Slim tells everyone to leave, sending the club's patrons outside, and putting two and two together, Annie begins to realize what they're dealing with. Worried about their daughter, Bo and Grace decide to leave.
We gotta go.
What? Man, it's lost his brother.
Look, we came here to help him with the party, not this. Lisa's waiting.
Yeah.
With Bo going outside to get their car ready. And Cornbread returns from taking a piss and sets everyone's alarm bells off by asking permission to re-enter the club.
You've been in and out of here all day. Ain't never need an invite then.
When he's denied entry, he tricks Smoke into paying him out for the night and uses the opportunity to attack. After a narrow escape, Smoke and the remaining survivors lock themselves in the club, only to find that Stack has been resurrected as a thrall, demanding to be let out of the room in which he died. Quickly growing impatient, he breaks down the door and is repelled by Annie's quick thinking, tossing a jar of pickled garlic in his face. As the community of Club Juke dwindles, Remick's family grows.
It's because of me. My daddy told me. Said the devil was coming on account of my music.
Finding a dead body behind the bar, which is quickly taken outside, Annie and Smoke make everyone eat garlic to prove they haven't been turned. Their paranoia has gotten the better of them, and they soon realize the body wasn't dead, just passed out in a puddle of wine. But the revelation comes too late, as the drunkard is attacked outside the front door by Cornbread. And Bo returns to take Grace home, but he has also been turned. Remick then approaches the club once more, revealing that he shares the memories and knowledge of everyone he has enslaved.
I know everything he knows now.
He demands Grace let them inside, using her daughter as a bargaining chip.
Or we gonna go to the grocery store. We gonna pay little Lisa a visit. No.
Or they could just give him Sammy, whose power can reunite Remick with his people.
You're the one I came for. Y'all give him to me now. Just give me little Sammy. We'll let y'all live.
You can't have him. He belongs to us. He belongs with us.
And that's when Stack and Remick dropped the big bomb.
You built something here tonight, and it was beautiful. But it was built on a lie.
The building the twins purchased, the sawmill, wasn't a sawmill at all.
This here is a slaughterhouse.
A killing floor. And Hogwood, the man who sold them the property, was the leader of the local KKK. His plan was to return and kill the twins to take back the property. Stack steps in and tries to convince his brother that joining Remick's family is the only way to truly be free. The club was never going to work. And Smoke almost caves, but the rest of the survivors pull him back in. But Grace, well, Grace has had just about enough. She refuses to let Remick kill her daughter and the rest of the town. She knows they have to be taken care of right now.
We gotta get them before they get away.
So, despite everyone's best efforts to shut her up, she invites them inside.
Come on in, you mother...
The club becomes a slaughterhouse once more, with every survivor being killed one after another. After she's bitten, Smoke stakes Annie to prevent her from becoming a thrall, and with the help of Smoke, Sammy is able to escape the slaughterhouse, but Remick follows him into a nearby lake. Back inside the club, Smoke and Stack fight. Stack gets the upper hand but is repelled by the magic hoodoo stuff Annie gave to Smoke before getting taken to Pound Town earlier in the movie. And in a last-ditch effort to save himself, Sammy strikes Remick with his guitar, which cuts into the vampire's head like a knife into butter. It's enough of a distraction to allow Smoke to sneak up and stake Remick from behind, just as the sun begins to rise, burning Remick and his thralls in the process. Later that morning, Sammy and Smoke part ways. Sammy returns to his father as Smoke is overcome by memories of his lost family. He removes the protective necklace Annie gave him, welcoming death as he prepares to deal with Hogwood and his clan. The white supremacists are gunned down one by one until only Hogwood is left. Smoke, having been shot during the battle, begins to bleed out. He collapses to the ground, seeing visions of Annie and their daughter, before pumping Hogwood full of lead. And holding his daughter, he is reunited with his family. And Sammy, confronted by his father, refuses to let go of his guitar. To his father, it's a symbol of evil and sin. But to Sammy, it's a symbol of good, a symbol of righteousness. He leaves Clarksdale and makes his way to Chicago. 60 years later, Sammy is now a respected and successful blues musician, playing his music to heal his community. But once again, the good comes with the bad. Sammy is visited by Stack and Mary, who haven't aged since he last saw them. Stack reveals that he made a deal with his brother during the fight. Smoke agreed to let Stack live so long as he left Sammy alone to live out his life in peace.
How about it, Sammy? You still got the real in you.
The elderly, scarred musician performs for his visitors, and as they leave, he confesses to them that although he was severely traumatized by the experience of that fateful night, before the violence,
I think that was the best day of my life.
Stack agrees with his cousin and admits that, despite his earlier assertions that Remek's way was the only path to freedom, that night was the only time he ever truly felt free.
Last time I seen my brother. Last time I seen the sun.
The end. Now, before we get back to the unity of opposites, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Sinners.
Nah, that.
We'll get the bad out of the way real quick, because there's not a whole lot of it.
All right.
In fact, it's mostly nitpicking, like the meandering nature of Act 1, the slight awkwardness of Hogwood's story execution, the almost fallible subtlety of Jordan's twins. I'm reaching a bit here, just trying to note a few things that broke the illusion of the story, which is otherwise incredibly well written. It's a fresh and well-paced take on an arguably tired genre that still manages to feel familiar and accessible. For the uninitiated, it also manages to establish classic vampire tropes through action rather than exposition. It is a movie that refreshingly treats its audience with intellectual respect.
Sounding like me, I can't ask for more than that.
Now, while I'm sure there are those out there who will be turned off by the overt racial themes,
What's that?
I would argue that Sinners handles it with sincere deftness.
Sounds like another one of the white man's lies to me.
It doesn't feel tacked on or forced. It's an intrinsic element of the story. And speaking of color, Coogler's use of color, particularly red and blue, helps to emphasize themes within the story in a beautiful way. Red is the color of blood, but also represents love and passion and rage and sin. It is ubiquitously used to signal caution and danger. Stack is the passionate brother, a former peddler of skin, and the more temperamental of the twins. Blue is the color of the blues, the color of trust and loyalty. It gives us peace and makes us feel safe. Smoke is the business-minded, analytical brother, loyal to the very end. These colors are used throughout the movie and play a key role in establishing themes within the story. I'm not going to pretend like I've figured out exactly how and why they are used in every specific instance, but I do find it interesting that they are prevalent throughout the movie. Maybe you can help me out in the comments with your thoughts on the following. The red car, Elder Sammy's wardrobe and guitar case, Remek and the blue hues of the club's exterior versus the warm red and brown tones of the interior. I mean, the fact is, there's a lot going on in Sinners. Lots of room for interpretation, but not in a distracting way. I could probably make an entire video discussing the movie's soundtrack, discussing the ways in which songs like Pick Poor Robin Clean and This Little Light of Mine have multiple levels of significance to both the story and the black community. Whereas some films include music that fits on a surface level, the music in Sinners feels intentional and deep. And the inclusion of blues legend Buddy Guy as Elder Sammy is the icing on the cake. It's good stuff, and the acting is pretty damn good too. Solid performances all around, but a special shout out to Miles Caton who knocks it out of the park. It was an absolute pleasure to listen to him sing, and his subtle and restrained performance is utterly compelling. In addition to being an entertaining and richly layered piece of cinema, Sinners is also a fantastic example of engaging screenwriting. Two families, both looking for freedom and fighting for survival, but with entirely different methods for achieving their goals. Two brothers, both dealing with love and loss, both looking to bring their community together and establish and legitimize themselves, again with different perspectives on how to achieve their ends. A father who wants to save his community, and a son who wants the same, but the father uses the Bible and the word of the Lord, while the son uses the music of his people. These are just some of the most obvious examples of the unity of opposites at work in Sinners. There are many more instances at play, but each one does the same thing. It creates an environment where characters are inescapably connected despite their differences. Smoke and Annie, for example, connected by their daughter. Pearline and Sammy, connected by their love of music, and so on. So keep an eye out for the unity of opposites when you're watching movies. See if you can spot its use in other films, or perhaps more importantly, its absence. And do yourself a favor if you haven't already. Go watch Sinners. It's a truly great movie.
You know, I was a vampire for a while. I don't know, a few years ago. You'd never believe anything I tell you.